Greetings Warhammer enthusiast. Before you stands a voice assistant of the podcast, dedicated to spreading the greater good. If you find this information useful, please do not hesitate to leave a like and subscribe. Together, we shall explore the depths of the Warhammer universe and share in its wonders. In the remote expanses of the galaxy, an area known as the Gothic Sector bore witness to an event of cataclysmic proportions. This was the 12th Black Crusade, also referred to as the Gothic War or Gothic Sector War. A tempestuous campaign that swallowed the sector whole, it was spearheaded by none other than the notorious Abaddon the Despoiler. Abaddon, infamous for his insatiable ambition and ruthless brutality, was a force to be reckoned with. His hunger for domination was limitless, and he demonstrated this ferocity through the 12th Black Crusade. He commanded vast armies and launched an unparalleled offensive on the Gothic Sector. The 12th Black Crusade was not a random act of aggression, it was a meticulously planned strategy in the grander scheme known as the Crimson Path. This was the vision of Ezekiel Abaddon, a brutal warlord whose ambition was to cripple the mighty Imperium piece by piece, through strategic blows. To execute this plan, Abaddon required a degree of knowledge and power beyond the ordinary. He turned to his cabal of sorcerers, led by the enigmatic and incredibly powerful Zaraphiston. This master sorcerer, a figure shrouded in mystery and renowned for his mastery over the warp, was tasked with the monumental responsibility of locating certain powerful artifacts that were integral to Abaddon's strategy. Using the arcane and unpredictable practice of divination, Zaraphiston navigated the swirling eddies of the warp to guide Abaddon to an unlikely source of knowledge, Moriana. This enigmatic figure held a wealth of information critical to Abaddon's grand plan. She revealed to the Warmaster the locations of two potent artifacts, the Hand of Darkness and the Eye of Night. But even more importantly, she imparted the knowledge necessary to seize the formidable Blackstone Fortresses in the Gothic Sector. The Hand of Darkness and the Eye of Night were not mere trinkets. They held immense power and were keys to unraveling the mysteries of the Blackstone Fortresses. These ancient star forts were not only bastions of defense but also untapped wells of destructive capabilities, dwarfing any weaponry in the known universe. It was these that Abaddon sought to commandeer for the next stage of his plan. With Moriana's guidance, Abaddon now had the means to seize these fortresses and harness their power for his relentless campaign. The stage was set for the 12th Black Crusade. The Crimson Path was about to take a critical turn, as Abaddon moved his grand plan forward, threatening to plunge the galaxy into an era of darkness and chaos. In a certain time, the quietude of the universe was shattered when a cryptic plea for help echoed across the stars. The desperate message was picked up by the Ascendants, an Imperial Navy scout frigate. The communication, sent by the elderly astropath on the Arx station, was garbled and full of terror. Who the attackers were remained unknown. When reinforcements finally arrived after several long months, they found only devastation and silence. The Imperial guardsmen who had been stationed on the planet had been wiped out, their bodies left horribly mutilated in a chilling spectacle of violence. No sign of the assailants was found. This unexplained atrocity piqued the interest of the Inquisition, leading them to dispatch one of their own, the seasoned Inquisitor Horst, to unravel the mystery. Yet, he found little evidence to piece together a coherent picture. Meanwhile, in another corner of the universe, an Imperial patrol stumbled upon a large heretic fleet in the Naxos system. This ominous sighting pointed towards an unsettling truth: the forces of chaos were gathering, the threads of their nefarious plans intertwining. A year after the Arx Raid, a series of grisly discoveries sent ripples of unease through the Imperium. Several patrols in the Athena sector encountered a haunting sight: Imperial merchant starships and warships drifting aimlessly through the void. When boarded, the horrific reality was laid bare. Every single crew member was dead, their disease-ridden bodies strewn haphazardly through the corridors. Some still sat at their posts, frozen in their final, futile struggle against death. Whispers spread like wildfire amongst the Imperial Navy in the Segmentum, whispers of an ancient chaos warship, the Plague Claw. This vessel was rumored to be crewed by followers dedicated to the chaos god Nurgle, their bodies and souls irrevocably tainted. These rumors, only served to solidify Inquisitor Thaddeus Valcanet Horst's growing suspicion that the forces of chaos were marshalling for a new Black Crusade against the Imperium. The tension escalated. The watchposts around the Cadian Gate, the Imperium's stalwart defense against the forces of chaos, were put on high alert. Imperial Navy warships were summoned from all corners of the Segmentum Obscurus to fortify the space around Cadia. And as reports of unusual activity and sightings of chaos vessels began to surge, the universe braced itself for the storm to come. In a twisted play of stratagem, the Gothic Sector became a theater of rebellion. Revolt sprung up like wildfire, consuming the attention and resources of the Imperials. Amid this chaos, the ominous figure of Abaddon the Despoiler took advantage of the distraction to put his grand design into motion. Abaddon launched massive raids on two isolated worlds, Purgatory and Ornsworld. The planet's defenses crumbled under the force of his relentless onslaught. The resulting devastation was unspeakable, with millions of lives extinguished in a storm of violence. But the raids achieved their purpose. From the ashes of Purgatory and Ornsworld, Abaddon emerged with the Hand of Darkness and the Eye of Night, artifacts of terrifying power crucial to his plan. As time progressed, Abaddon began to mobilize his fleets. The infamous Planet Killer, a warship of gargantuan proportions and unparalleled destructive power, was seen navigating through the Arx Gap out of the dreaded Eye of Terror. The chess pieces were moving, the board was set. A few years after the haunting incident at Arx, a massive warp storm roared into existence, swallowing the Gothic Sector whole. This catastrophic event isolated the ships of Battlefleet Gothic from the rest of the Imperium. The fleets were alone, left to face whatever dark forces were gathering in the shadows. This grave situation led Lord Admiral Cornelius von Ravensburg, commander of all Imperial Navy ships in the Gothic Sector, to take decisive action. Alongside a council of top-ranking commanders, he ordered a total mobilization. Every ship, every soldier, every resource was pressed into service. The Astra Militarum was given permission to enlist every available man and woman for military service, while the local Adeptus Mechanicus facilities reoriented their production to support the war effort. Despite their isolation, the Gothic Sector was not entirely devoid of the Emperor's finest. A few scattered vessels of the Adeptus Astartes, the Space Marines, were present in the sector. One such vessel was commanded by the stalwart Imperial Fist's Captain Tiberius Solarian. He pledged, in the name of the Adeptus Astartes, to support the Imperial Navy in whatever way they could. A beacon of hope flickered in the dark, a promise of resistance against the encroaching storm. Under the ominous shadow of the Planet Killer, the tides of war took a distressing turn for the Imperium. Subsector after subsector capitulated to the overwhelming might of chaos. Yet, the worst was still to come. In a daring move, Abaddon and his fleet laid siege to an Adeptus Mechanicus facility orbiting Lucatar, managing to seize another Blackstone Fortress. The entire Gothic Sector was now under assault. Imperial ships found themselves locked in fierce battles, fighting tooth and nail against the inexorable tide of chaos forces. Abaddon used the Planet Killer's menacing reputation to strong-arm the planet savior into submission, securing its orbital docks to resupply and bolster the Chaos fleets. His next target was Fularis II, the home of another Blackstone Fortress. The planet's defenders, the stalwart battle group Merlin, were decimated. Amidst the ashes of Fularis II, Abaddon demonstrated the terrifying power of the linked Blackstone Fortresses. The fortresses could combine their energies into a single devastating blast, a weapon of such magnitude that it could obliterate all life on a world. Fularis II was left ravaged, its Blackstone Fortress added to Abaddon's growing collection. Blackstone Fortresses, in their immeasurable power and mystery, hold a deep-rooted history that dates back to the times before the catastrophic event known as the Fall of the Eldar. These behemoth structures, crafted by the Eldar, were originally designed with a singular purpose in mind: to destroy the Catan, star gods of the Necronty, should they ever reawaken. The Eldar referred to these majestic constructs as the Talisman of Vol, named after the Eldar smith god. Each Blackstone Fortress is essentially a planetoid-sized craft, remarkable not only for its sheer size, but also its ability to generate colossal amounts of power, even in a dormant state. The technological prowess of these fortresses, even in their quiescent state, far surpasses the comprehension and understanding of any species that exists in the galaxy today. When fully activated, a Blackstone fortress exhibits a power that is virtually unrivaled. It can shatter the barriers between the tangible universe, or real space, and the tumultuous dimension known as warp space. In doing so, it creates a beam of raw, concentrated immaterium that obliterates anything that stands in its path. The destructive capacity of a Blackstone fortress is such that multiple fortresses can link their power together to form a beam that dwarfs any individual fortress's destructive capabilities. Abaddon could remotely control the Blackstone fortresses with the help of two alien artifacts, the Hand of Darkness and the Eye of Night. These objects gave him the ability to wield these titanic structures as weapons of mass destruction. However, amidst the darkness, a beacon of hope emerged. The Aeldari Corsair Prince Eldrathain found himself and his fleet cornered by an armada of Orc pirates in the Graildark Nebula. Impressed by the Imperial's resolve against the Chaos invaders, Eldrathain sought help from the Gothic Sector's Imperial High Command. Seeing an opportunity to strike a blow against both the Aeldari and Arx raiders, Admiral Spire came to Eldrathain's aid. Following the skirmish, Eldrathain pledged to discuss reducing anti-Imperial attacks with other Corsair princes. He also shared a chilling revelation. A vision of his farseer suggested that Imperial Navy Captain Elias Okar had been corrupted by chaos. Upon gaining approval from Ravensburg and Horst, Spire confronted Okar and discovered the treacherous truth. Okar had indeed succumbed to the insidious lure of chaos. The joint Imperial Aeldari force made quick work of Okar's battle group, rooting out the heresy from within. In the midst of this growing chaos, Abaddon orchestrated an assault on a massive, space-based webway gate in the Gothic Sector, aiming to isolate the local Aeldari. Admiral Spire, upholding his pact with Eldrathain, led a small fleet from the Imperial Navy to aid the beleaguered Aeldari. Together, they thwarted Abaddon's gambit, forcing him to reassess his strategy. Switching his focus, Abaddon deployed the Planet Killer against the Imperial world of Stranavar, which had defiantly held out against a chaos siege for a drawn-out period. The overwhelming force of the Planet Killer was too much for the brave defenders, leaving the world depopulated and broken. Trust began to form between the Imperials and Eldrathain's fleet, culminating in a formal alliance. The Imperials, in return, agreed to help recover Spirit Stones, precious Aeldari artifacts lost amidst the chaos of battles against Abaddon's fleets. However, the agreement did not entirely stem the tide of Aeldari piracy, with other Corsair factions continuing their assaults. In the same time, the Imperium was grappling with the ongoing threat posed by the Orc pirates. Admiral Spire's fleet fought a series of vicious battles against the Orcs, culminating in a high-stakes showdown at the colossal Colossus Space Hulk, the main Orc base hidden amidst an asteroid field in the Alas Novi region. The titanic struggle reached its peak when Captain Crash Cruise attempted to unleash the devastating power of the Colossus superweapon. However, in a twist of fate, the weapon malfunctioned, leading to a cataclysmic self-destruction. The demise of their leader and the obliteration of their base significantly weakened the Orc pirates' grip on the Gothic Sector. Despite the victory, the Imperium faced more challenges. The Lysate subsector fell under the control of chaos. However, not all hope was lost. In the Cyclops cluster, persistent raids by Orc pirates on Chaos shipping lanes inadvertently provided the Imperium with a chance to regain some ground. While the Imperial Navy was struggling against the relentless tide of chaos, Fleet Admiral Morndark was making significant progress in his campaign against Aeldari Corsairs and human pirates at Barbarous Costa, culminating in a decisive victory in the attack on the pirates' haven. With the pirates all but eliminated, the Imperial Navy was able to redirect its full attention and resources to the escalating war against chaos. In another twist, an Imperial patrol encountered the Planet Killer at Corain 6. They inflicted some damage on the formidable ship before being forced to retreat. In the wake of the encounter, Chaos troops seized Corain 6, exploiting its rich mines to fuel the relentless hunger of the Planet Killer. In one of his most audacious moves, Abaddon set his sights on the hive world of Corellia. Leading a formidable force of 50 Chaos Terminators under the command of Varstarkal Kaya, They bypassed traditional warfare and teleported directly into the heart of the capital, Patricia's Hive. The Black Legion Terminators swept through the hive like a storm, massacring thousands of Planetary Defense Force soldiers who bravely tried to fend off the unrelenting invaders. By the time the reinforcements made their way to the epicenter of the conflict, the Terminators had vanished, leaving behind only a grim tableau of death and destruction. Adding to the mystery and despair, the Imperial Governor and his immediate advisors had disappeared without a trace. Their fate remains an enigma to this day. Later, Abaddon shifted his focus to Draculu. The invasion was swift and brutal. Its 2 million inhabitants were swiftly enslaved, becoming mere pawns in Abaddon's sinister designs. A large portion of the population was sacrificed to empower Zaraphistan's dark magic, while the rest were forcibly conscripted to serve aboard Chaos warships. As the invasion progressed, Zaraphistan made a chilling prediction: the turbulent warp storms that had racked the sector would soon cease, prompting Abaddon to accelerate his offensive before Imperial reinforcements could arrive. Despite the daunting odds and overwhelming numbers of the Chaos fleet in the Gothic sector, Admiral Ravensburg was far from defeatist. He knew that while the enemy forces were larger, they were fragmented into smaller groups, dispersed across the vast expanses of space. He saw an opportunity in this strategic flaw. Ravensburg formulated a plan to bring the unified might of Battlefleet Gothic to bear on each of these isolated Chaos fleets, whittling them down and gradually reclaiming the sector. In an act of relentless pursuit, Lord Admiral Ravensburg led the Imperial fleet into the Gethsemane System, hot on the heels of the fleeing Chaos fleet. The information reached him that Ball Hierophant Locus Vanhammer, one of Abaddon's key lieutenants, led the enemy fleet. The Imperials now had a golden opportunity to deal a significant blow to the enemy's command structure. The Chaos forces attempted to escape, prompting the Imperial fleet's swiftest ships to engage in a week-long stern chase. In an unexpected turn of events, a second Chaos fleet emerged, springing a trap on the unsuspecting Imperial forces. The ensuing firefight saw both sides suffering losses before the Imperial ships managed to slip away and rejoin the main fleet. For the next few days, the fleets played a deadly game of cat and mouse across the Gethsemane system. The Imperial strategy was bolstered when a squadron of Firestorm frigates located the elusive Chaos fleet above Gethsemane II. With their position now known, Lord Admiral Ravensburg seized the opportunity to launch a full-scale assault. The stage was set for a brutal confrontation. Outnumbered and outgunnized, the Imperial fleet still held the advantage in a head-on battle. They unleashed a volley of torpedoes at the Chaos ships, catching them off guard as they were still repositioning for battle. As they absorbed the return fire with their more heavily shielded prows, the Imperial ships closed in, reloading their torpedo bays for another strike. It was during this clash that the Mars-class battlecruiser Imperius, under Captain Compel Bast, managed to cripple the Chaos murder cruiser Deathblade with its Nova cannon, marking the first significant blow dealt to the enemy. From there, the Imperial fleet cleaved into the Chaos Armada, splitting it in two. Despite their successful strategy, the Imperials suffered severe losses, with several vessels being crippled or completely destroyed. However, Ravensburg's plan had accomplished its purpose. The Chaos fleet was in disarray. In a series of swift and devastating blows, several critical Chaos vessels, including the Foe Reaper, Malignus Maximus, and the murder cruisers Steel Fang and Krotos were severely damaged or completely incapacitated. Having broken through the Chaos lines, Ravensburg ordered his fleet to turn and finish off the scattered Chaos vessels. Realizing the tide of battle had turned against him, Vanhammer ordered his fleet to retreat, launching mines to cover their escape and prevent immediate pursuit. Although their higher speed suggested they might escape, the cost of this conflict was clear. The Chaos fleet had taken significant losses, and their morale was shaken. Just as the Chaos fleet was about to escape, an unexpected development turned the tides of the conflict yet again. A massive fleet of Aeldari ships materialized seemingly out of nowhere, swiftly placing themselves between the fleeing Chaos forces and their escape route. This formidable Xenos force, consisting of over 20 vessels, including around a dozen capital-class ships, left the Chaos forces with no way out. Amidst this unexpected turn of events, there were those among the Imperial ranks who, wary of Aeldari motives, suspected treachery and urged Lord Admiral Ravensburg to open fire on the alien vessels. However, Inquisitor Thaddeus Valconet Horst, who had been accompanying the Lord Admiral throughout the conflict, quickly intervened. He ordered the Imperial forces to hold their fire, having sensed that the Aeldari's intentions were aligned with their own in this instance. His insight was proven correct when Craft Mistress Liliathan, from the Aeldari ship Vuelien Show, opened communications with the Lord Solar Macarius. In her message, she revealed that this unexpected armada was part of the forces of An-Iolsus, and that they had arrived with the singular purpose of eliminating the trapped Chaos forces. With the arrival of this Aeldari fleet, Vanima's attempted escape was doomed. The Chaos forces found themselves trapped between the hammer of the Imperial Navy and the anvil of the Aeldari. Over the following days, they were systematically destroyed. Despite a few Chaos ships managing to break out from the trap, their reprieve was short-lived. One by one, they were hunted down and eliminated, effectively ending the reign of chaos in the region. The decisive victory over the Chaos forces came at a great cost to the Allies. The Imperial forces were significantly impacted, with around a dozen of their vessels either crippled or entirely destroyed. Many gallant Imperial captains fell in the brutal conflict, including a particularly devastating loss for Lord Admiral Ravensburg. His son, Manfred, who had served aboard the Europa, lost his life in the fierce battle, adding a poignant personal note to the strategic victory. In the aftermath of the harrowing battle, the Imperium found an unlikely partner in their victory. The Aeldari, who had played a crucial role in the defeat of the Chaos forces, further solidified their uneasy alliance with the Imperium. Their contributions to the battle weren't just strategic, but they also brought new weaponry to the fight, notably introducing the mighty Voidstalker battleship. Fortune seemed to be favoring the Imperium further when the warp storms, which had been a constant thorn in their side for nearly a decade, finally subsided. With the space lanes clear, reinforcements from neighboring sectors started to pour in. Among these were the revered Space Marine chapters of the White Consuls, Exorcists, and Red Talons, their arrival bolstering the morale of the beleaguered Imperial forces. Abaddon, unwilling to admit defeat and simmering with rage, planned an audacious and deadly attack on the Tarantis system. He took the lead with his 3 fearsome Blackstone Fortresses. Channeling their combined power as he had done previously, Abaddon commanded his Blackstones to fire directly into the system's star. The sheer destructive power turned the star into a supernova, causing the annihilation of thousands of billions of Imperial citizens. The Imperial and Aeldari forces, however, were resolute in their belief that Abaddon would plan another assault on one of the remaining Blackstone fortresses still under Imperial control. Their suspicions were confirmed when Aeldari scouts discovered Abaddon's nefarious plan to seize the Blackstone fortress orbiting Schindlergeist. Oblivious to the fact that his opponents were already privy to his intentions, Abaddon passed command of the planet killer to Malefica Arkham, launching a diversionary attack on the Arimaspia system. But the combined Imperial and Aeldari fleet, utilizing ancient Aeldari webway technology, quickly mobilized at the Schindlergeist system and masterfully set a trap for the incoming Chaos forces. Abaddon, oblivious to the trap, plunged his forces into a tactically disastrous situation. The Chaos forces found themselves suddenly outnumbered, caught entirely by surprise. The fleets clashed for 3 relentless days, but even with all their ferocity, the Chaos fleet could not overcome the formidable forces allied against them. In desperation, Abaddon attempted to play his final card. He sought to deploy his Blackstones to obliterate the Schindlergeist system's star, mirroring his deadly tactic at Tarantis. However, this plan was thwarted by the gallant actions of Captain Abradal. The captain led his battleship directly into the path of the converging energy beams. Though he was obliterated in the process, his heroic sacrifice disrupted the Blackstone's energy flow, buying the Allied forces crucial time. Recognizing the vulnerability of his temporarily weakened Blackstones, Abaddon decided to withdraw, fleeing the battlefield with 2 of his Blackstones. The Imperial forces, seizing this opportunity, converged on the 3rd fortress. The attack was spearheaded by 2 strike cruisers from the Angels of Redemption Space Marine chapter. Upon boarding the third Blackstone, the Angels of Redemption found it eerily deserted, devoid of crew or resistance. Then, even more mysteriously, the third Blackstone along with the others in the Gothic Sector self-destructed, leaving no trace of their formidable presence. The reason behind this sudden and complete self-destruction remains an enigma to this day. Even after Abaddon's strategic withdrawal, the end of the Gothic War was not imminent. Both the Imperial and Aeldari forces rallied to hunt down the remaining Chaos ships, as they attempted to flee into the safety of the Eye of Terror. The fleeing vessels were systematically hunted down and destroyed. Certain factions of the Chaos forces, however, chose not to retreat. Instead, they sporadically raided isolated worlds or outposts, quickly retreating whenever significant Imperial forces arrived on the scene. One such renegade, Malefica Arkham, who was abandoned by his master, conceived the audacious plan of carving out his own empire. Armed with the formidable Planet Killer, he conquered Gunnercrash and the Quinrock Sound subsector, subsequently moving his capital ship to Carlos II. At Carlos II, he found himself facing the formidable Imperial Navy's Battlegroup Omega, which comprised 4 lunar cruisers. Without any additional support, the Planet Killer was relentlessly bombarded with torpedoes until it was finally taken down. The aftermath of the war also witnessed some Aeldari Corsairs continue their piratical activities until the end of the conflict. It took years of relentless pursuit and confrontation before the remnants of the Chaos forces and other raiders were finally neutralized. The breaking of Chaos's stronghold on the Gothic Sector allowed the Imperial Navy to refocus its efforts on dealing with human pirates in the region. These pirates had grown powerful amid the chaos and destruction, forcing the Imperial Navy to reclaim the worlds where they had enslaved millions. Finally, almost 2 decades after the war began, the Gothic War reached its conclusion. The war stands as one of the great conflicts of the 41st millennium. In recognition of the immense effort and bravery demonstrated by the Imperial forces, the High Lords of Terror commissioned the construction of colossal monuments in their honor. These monoliths, towering 10 times the height of a man, were meticulously engraved with the names of every Imperial serviceman who served in the war. From Admiral von Ravensburg, who led the Imperial forces, to the lowliest crewman of a merchant ship, all were honored for their part in the war. These monuments stand as a lasting tribute to the heroes of the Gothic War, reminding future generations of the sacrifices made to preserve the Imperium.